Hey, good morning. What is up, YouTube? This is April over at the Resellers Learning Curve, and obviously I'm shooting a video in the dark. It is super dark, but just to be clear, it is 7:07 a.m. so it's not like the middle of the night that I'm shooting this video, but it's that time of year. It's still dark, 7 o'clock in the morning. Both of my kids are off for their days, so I'm doing my morning running around. I had to shoot this super important video before I went to work today. So since it's dark, you'll only be able to see me at moments. In the meantime, I guess it's kind of like listening to something, a podcast or something. I've never listened to a podcast, so I don't even know how that works. When it comes to technology, I'm like a senior citizen. It's ridiculous. I have no explanation for why I can't learn how to use Snapchat, but that's neither here nor there. As I said, I had a super important video I wanted to shoot for you guys to talk about what happened to me yesterday. Okay, so if you are a member of my Facebook group, and for those of you who are not, my Facebook group is the same name as this channel. It's the Resellers Learning Curve. Currently, I think we're up to over 600 members. I think relatively recently I made the 600 member post welcoming all the new folks. So I think that's about where we're at as far as size goes. But if you are in my Facebook group, the Resellers Learning Curve, then you learned yesterday, or you saw that I had this crazy haul. And if you didn't see, what do I mean by crazy haul? Well, I went to a local thrift store. It's not a chain. It's actually called Miss Pat's Thrift Store. It's right close to downtown, which is, pretty convenient for me. So I went to Miss Pat's Thrift Store yesterday, and I purchased a bunch of Sony Discman, new in package. There was probably, I can't remember. I think there was probably 12 to 15 items total. Most of the items were Sony. I know there was an RCA Discman in there, and there was also, I'm not sure how to pronounce the name. I think it was Grundig. There was a Grundig shortwave radio in there. I mean, it was crazy. It was crazy. So if you've been a reseller for any amount of time, you know that finding a Sony sealed Discman is like instant money. That's like 200 bucks at least, almost for any model Sony Discman new in package. Well, if you find like a ton of these together, it's just like, holy crap. So I was trying to hold it together in the thrift store because I'm realizing when I come upon essentially an end cap of these, that this is about to be epic. So I bought all of that stuff, and the grand total, if I'm not mistaken, was $224. So I spent $224 at Miss Pat's. So I get back to my office and I tell my boss, first of all, look, I just had a crazy haul. I'm so distracted. You may not get any more work out of me today. Just FYI, heads up. I did end up doing some more work, but just a fair warning in case nothing happened. Well, I posted the picture of all of the items in my Facebook group. Now, I want to say that I have never, ever posted anything on Facebook with the intention of selling it. That's not what I do on Facebook. I sell items on eBay. I sell items via Amazon FBA. That's what I do. That is how I make my living. So when I posted the items to my Facebook group, it absolutely was not an attempt for me to resell these items. I was just sharing with other resellers like, hey guys, look at this. This is insane. So a friend reseller of mine threw an offer out there. He said he was joking. He was like, I get you $700 for that now. And I told him, there's a time where I probably would like entertain that, because for me, I understand that with every item that you sell, there's a certain amount of work that goes into it. And with every item that you sell, there's a certain amount of risk that goes into it. So I know that while I could flip all of these items for, some of them for crazy money, some of them are $500 items, those are also $500 risk. That's the most notable thing. So I ended up going home and I talked to my partner, my boyfriend, my confidant about the fact that I had posted them to show other resellers and that someone had thrown an offer out there. And so as my boyfriend and I are discussing it, he's like, I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea just to flip them as a bulk deal, provided that you can get a price that you're happy with. And as we started to talk it over, it was making more and more sense to both of us. And the reason is because, like I just mentioned, with large rewards, usually you're taking large risks. And especially with the items that I had, because they're no longer mine, they belong to someone else. Those items, the packaging on all of those units was, at best, I mean, the best packaging would be graded like a C. Like the packaging was beat on those units, because we're talking about electronics that in some cases are over 30 years old. So these things have been around. They've been in stores, they've been in storage units, they've probably been in basements, they've been around. They have taken abuse. So the packaging was not perfect on any of them. And for that reason, I knew that I could not sell them on Amazon as new. Now you would say to me, well, if you can't sell them on Amazon as new, nobody can sell them on Amazon as new. True indeed, true indeed. The condition guidelines are the condition guidelines. However, what I would like to point out to you is that the thing about selling on Amazon, if you have a lot of history with selling on Amazon, if you're a volume seller and you have a lot of feedback, a couple of transactions aren't going to kill you. Like, it's not. It's absolutely just not. So it does not, you can take the risk of selling an item as new, whereas me, well, my little 25, 30 feedback, if I get a negative feedback on Amazon and it sticks, because we all know that that's the thing about Amazon feedback, you can get a lot of it removed. If it sticks, that can really, really hurt my account. So that's not a risk that is smart for me to take. Financially, my business is not at a place where I can absorb $400-500 returns and be like, oh, it's just another day in business. Like, if I get a $500 return, I'm flipping out. Like, like my family is suffering because I'm just not even pleasant if I'm dealing with a $500 return. And that's because $500 in my business is a big deal. So I knew the value of this stuff after I added everything up on the high end was over $3,000. So I made a deal with a friend for a fraction of that, and I sold the items to a reseller friend of mine, because I think that he is just going to be able to get the max dollar out of those items. And not only that, guys, I mean, it's just kind of like sharing the wealth. Like, I'm not a greedy person. I don't need to squeeze every single dollar out of every single item. I've never been a person that was my philosophy, is I need to make all the money off all the items, because I know that the money I made from flipping that stuff to my reseller friend, I could take that money today, honestly, and I can go anywhere. And if I find any like bulk deal of like awesome inventory, I can buy that today, because I have that capital is available to me. And this is a profit that I made in 6 hours. It took me 6 hours to make a nice profit. So that's my lesson to you guys today, is just be very mindful that with huge rewards, you're assuming huge risk. And sometimes there are people in your line of business, in your field, that are more able to assume those risks. They're not such a big deal to them. Their business is just scaled to a bigger place than yours. I mean, that's just where you're at. I know that's where I'm at today. It was not the deal for me to try to maximize every single item. And I'm much happier letting those items go to someone who can get all of that money, and I can walk away, with my profit. And I had a really decent day's work yesterday. I'm still smiling. Like, even though it's dark, you can see me smiling because I had a decent day's work. That's a good day. That's a good hustle. And so that's why I had to make this video in the dark, just so I could let you guys know how I was able to make, you know, a couple car notes in a few hours. So on that note, I hope you guys all have a wonderful, wonderful day. Happy Friday. Thank you for tuning in to the